Good morning. So we'll start by paying some attention to our physical body and our posture, getting ourselves set up correctly. So we keep our feet flat and our back straight. Eyes are gently closed or slightly open. Hands are resting in the lap, with the palms upturned and the thumbs gently touching or resting on the knees. Looking through the physical body and relaxing any places of unnecessary tension, allowing the body to settle into this comfortable, stable, upright position, trying to hold the back under its own power, not relying on the backrest too much. And then start to have a sense of moving your awareness, your mind inward, withdrawing it from anything in the environment that might otherwise cause you to go outward and contact that object, and also giving yourself the instruction to disengage from mental objects that are occurring, motivated by memories or plans. Start to use the physical sensation of the breath, just breathing naturally and normally, but attending to the sensation that arises, particularly around the nostrils, and trying to let go again and again of any object, either physical or mental, that is other than that sensation. Gently lifting your awareness up whenever it gets distracted and gently placing it back on that sensation. Trying to notice as quickly as possible and elongate those periods where the mind is concentrated on that physical sensation. And then try to connect with a virtuous motivation, thinking of your time as a way of developing familiarities with new constructive habits and tendencies, cultivating positive qualities that benefit yourself but also benefit others. Because others are limitless, it's reasonable to emphasize the ways in which we can bring benefit to others. So try to include others in your purpose and recognize that it isn't for oneself alone that we engage in these efforts. Then today we're going to do a meditation on rejoicing, but in a little different variation. Most often, the meditation on rejoicing is a way of recognizing good qualities in oneself and in others. And that's a very important way of doing it. But rejoicing can also be an antidote to jealousy or covetousness. So we're going to emphasize in today's meditation the ripening of virtuous karma and responding to the ripening of virtuous karma with a mind of rejoicing. So we'll start by, we're going to use kind of the friend, enemy, and stranger model for this meditation. So start by, start by bringing to mind a person that's close to you, someone that you would say you care very much about, and try to either remember a time when they told you about some positive event in their life, something that happened to them that was fortuitous, beneficial, or if nothing comes to mind, then just imagine that something that they were hoping for or something beneficial occurs to them and that they tell you about it. So, kind of set that scene in the mind where that is occurring and try to recognize that, try to watch your own mind in that moment and recognize that in your mind there's a real sense of being happy for that other person. That there's naturally and spontaneously the wish and the sense of joy that they obtain what they were hoping for. So as you replay that in your mind, focus on how you respond in a supportive way with a mind that delights in the happiness of that other person. And really focus on subjectively what it feels like to do that. Then change your visualization and imagine that someone you don't know very well at all. Imagine that you hear about or they mention that also something fortuitous has happened in their life. Mm, Perhaps it is something similar to an aspiration or interest that you yourself also have. Maybe you were hoping to be able to replace your car and they were able to replace their car. And try to notice the ways in which the mind reacts differently, or if there are any differences in how the mind reacts. Are we initially less invested, less interested, instead of a spontaneous sense of rejoicing? Does the mind more easily move toward wishing that it had happened to us? We can, if possible, use a real life example if something similar has happened. So try to notice whether a sense of disinterest or a sense of jealousy arises in the mind, and contrast those states, if they arise, contrast them to how we had previously felt when a close person, a dear one, shared their good news and we shared in their good news with them. How light and happy our mind was. So spend a moment trying to observe your reaction and how that reaction makes you feel. And then, if you can see that responding with a mind of rejoicing is not only more supportive and constructive, but it's also more pleasant, more peaceful, then try to intentionally respond in that way, even just using a remembering consciousness of what it felt like to feel that way in a different situation. And try to stabilize a mind of rejoicing in this situation. And then shift that visualization again and either imagine or remember a scenario where a person that irritates you, not someone that you have very strong negative feelings toward, but someone that you find irritating or annoying. Imagine that you either hear about or that they share, again, something beneficial that happened in their life, and observe again, do we find it even more difficult to be interested, to recognize that something beneficial happened to someone who deeply wants to be happy and to avoid suffering, and that, or do we see that through the lens of that this person is irritating to us? Is it even possible that the mind is slightly ill at ease at hearing that something beneficial has happened? Do we not think that they deserve to have a positive ripening in their lives? So just try to, again, check your reaction, your experiences. And if they seem tight or painful, narrow, then again, remember that open, joyous, warm feeling that's possible when we delight in what happens, the benefits that other people receive, and try to then switch. Even if all we can do is remember what that feels like in a different context, try to cause it to happen in this context and try to stabilize that way of responding in your mind. And then when you're ready, we'll come back together. And then we'll dedicate. So we recollect our virtuous motivation. We recollect the effort that we engaged in to actualize that motivation. And we offer whatever positive energy that we've created for the benefit of all sentient beings without exception. Thinking, may this positive energy ripen in the best way to support my own spiritual growth and development in order that I might work for the benefit of others, and may it ripen in whatever way supports all sentient beings, their own growth and development, and may it serve as a cause for all of my spiritual guides to abide in lifetimes without limit and without obstacle to guide and protect sentient beings. Thank you.